Your someday starts today. It's time to explore and test the newest science, methods, and trends for creating a life you love with your host, Tanya MFK. Welcome to My Designed Life.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tanya MFK, and today I am coming to you with two amazing women. First, Dr. Soorya, integrative medicine doctor. And if you don't know what integrative medicine is, it is a clinical medicine that focuses on healing the causes of problems rather than focusing on simply symptom control. And Dr. Ajmani, pediatrician, certified yoga instructor, Ayurvedic teacher, meditation leader, and lifestyle consultant. And we are coming today to bring some clarity and peace of mind through both clinical and wellness expertise. Because stress, fear, and worry can wreak havoc on your immune system. And you need all the physical and mental strength you can get during this unique time in our lives. So we're going to clarify some facts about COVID. We're going to give some health tips so you can stay at your best. And then we're going to walk through a simple meditation that you can use to give you some peace of mind now, and then use it again and again to keep you calm as we head through this uncertainty. So we're just going to kind of bring up some of the things that I'm hearing, and I'm going to let Dr. Ajmani and Dr. Soorya just give us the facts and kind of see what we can do. So thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us, Tanya.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. So I want to start with some of the obvious things that I feel like we've been hearing so much, but we get so many different sources. And so I just feel a comfort of like having you guys here, knowing not only that you guys have your clinical expertise, but both of these women here, guys, they are very focused on this holistic approach of your mind, body, spirit, and everything. So really coming at this with a different approach. So one thing I'd love to start with is the thing we're all hearing, which is don't panic. And so we see people are panicking. We see people are completely not changing anything. What do you guys think about this? What should we be doing?
So well, I think, go ahead.
So I definitely agree, don't panic, but this is also a very serious situation. So it is something not to take lightly. But the reason that we're saying also don't panic is because when you panic, you can't think clearly, right? It makes it harder to think clearly. When you get caught up in fear and worry, not only does it make it harder for you to think clearly in terms of what's going to be the best thing to do, the best next steps to take, it also, when you get caught up in fear and worry, it lowers your immune system. When you get caught up into this stress response, this fight or flight response. And so in this time more than ever, you need to make sure that you're taking the best care of yourself and keeping your immune system as boosted and healthy as possible.
Yeah. And I would also say like it's, and not panicking and freaking out and doing that also doesn't, the other side isn't that we just completely do everything as normal. There are some things we need to change about our behaviors, right?
Yes, because I think one thing that I'm seeing in the States is that we're very extreme just in general. We take a diet, for example, you go extreme, cut out, food groups, and then, everything, exercise, we go extreme. And here it's, there's two sides of the coin where people are like, oh, well, if I'm healthy, I don't need to, do anything about this. That's incorrect because your actions actually impact someone else, someone who doesn't have a healthy immune system. So yes, you may be healthy, wonderful, but, you have a social responsibility to others to make sure that they stay healthy too.
Absolutely. So we need to take it seriously. It's helpful to probably have some supplies on hand, but I think a big part of the supplies that I feel like is being missed as well is that this idea of getting supplies is like, I don't know if we just have these memories, or not memories, but like things we've read in our history books of like World War I. We're like, oh my gosh, we're going to run out. But no one's asking us to get supplies because we're going to run out. They're asking us to get supplies so we stop going out, right?
Correct, so, yes.
And there's a huge difference. It's like no one was like, stock up because there won't be any. It was like, stock up so you don't have to keep going to the store and being around people, right? Like
exactly. And I think with that and being socially responsible and don't panic, the big thing here in the States is all the stores have run out of toilet paper, right? And so, I think it's important to realize that take what you need, like you said, Tanya, so that you're not having to run back to the store that often, while at the same time being socially responsible and socially conscious about what you're taking and what you're purchasing. Because if some of those resources are completely gone, there may, that's taking away from resources that someone else may need as well. And there's already so many people everywhere, I was going to say in every country, but everywhere really, with limited resources. And so in this time where things are even more limited, please be socially responsible and socially conscious in that way as well.
Absolutely. Yes. No, that's so important. So important. Well, so another thing that I keep kind of seeing getting brushed off is the statement that, well, you guys, it's just the media sensationalizing everything, right? That's all it is. Like, so yes, don't panic, right? So the don't panickers are like, don't panic. Clearly it's not a big deal because the media is just sensationalizing everything. Where do you guys stand on that?
Well, we live in a world that is dependent on media now, and it's everywhere, social media, news 24/7. So yes, it's going to be in your face a little bit more, but, use your judgment. Don't be constantly connected, but be connected enough to know the facts, and that, this is not something to take lightly. You take Italy, for example. There was, I think, a video that they had put together of people that live there saying, I wish what I had done 10 days before. And, there is something to that. So for us to learn from other people's mistakes too, because this is not just something that's isolated to our country. It's a global issue right now. So,
and I think in general, right, they're like, yes, news, there's ratings, they're fighting for ratings. They want to get your attention. And so, but you can't just put all the eggs there. You can't go, well, since it's sensationalized, then there's absolutely nothing I need to worry about. This goes back to the don't panic, right? Like, yeah, they might be trying to get your attention. I would think of it, I have a toddler, right? So if my son is like, oh my God, my foot, and it's like over the top crying, it doesn't mean his foot's not hurt. It just may not be as crazy as he's making it sound, but I still need to look and check out what's going on with his foot, right? I don't go like, oh, well, you're just sensationalizing it. So I'm not even gonna look at it. Like I still have to go look at it and kind of separate it a little fact from fiction for myself, right?
I think for some people also, it doesn't become real until it affects them. So, trying to actually be a little bit more proactive in your way of thinking might be more beneficial, because we wait till the last minute until something is a big problem now. And then we're like, oh, we better pay attention.
Right. Well, and as I was mentioning to you gals earlier, I'm American, but I am based in Czech Republic. So I'm here in Europe. I know some people don't know where Czech Republic is. It's near Germany. Small little country. It's about the size of LA County for my Californians. Put that in perspective for you. My husband and I, and my son, we started self-quarantining 3 weeks ago. We just didn't want it. We just started looking at what was going on around the world and going, okay, well, these are the measures they're taking. So we didn't wait, and I think it was a weird place to be, because part of us, we felt like maybe we're overreacting. We were like, no one is telling us. The country wasn't shut down yet. Nothing was happening. So we were like, are we just being those like kind of weird people? We had a lot of groceries, which is a normal amount for US people, but for here it was like, I was laughing because my husband was like, this looks so weird. And I looked at our trunk, I was like, this is actually like normal groceries like in America for 1 week. But for us, it's really wild to have a whole cart full. And so but we started doing that. We were just paying attention to what was going on, and yes, listening to the media to a certain degree, but also like going, well, it might get there. We don't want to wait till it gets too crazy. And sure enough, a week and a half later, our country is now under full quarantine, and we have been. So it was kind of with the Italy thing, I was so thankful to go, yeah, I didn't panic. We didn't run out and buy like gobs of stuff. Groceries are still getting delivered. Everything's really relatively calm here, but that we took a little bit of action, because now we haven't had to leave the house. We haven't had to go anywhere. We haven't had to do those things, because we're just a little more mindful of like, hey, let's pay attention. So yeah, media may be like wanting to get your attention more than the other channel, but it doesn't necessarily mean that nothing means anything either. They're not just making it up. Although again, we can talk about some of the crazy stuff we've heard. So the other thing that I'd love to talk about is it's just like the flu. So even if I get it, who cares? It's just like the flu. And again, I think I mentioned with you guys, and at the time we're filming this, guys, I'm sure there's a viral video going on about what's happening in Florida with spring break right now. And there's a lot of young people going, well, it's just like the flu. Like if I get it, I get it. What do you guys have to say about that?
Again, I think we touched on that earlier. That is socially irresponsible, because yes, your immune system may be healthy because you're young, but you could be a carrier, and if you are a carrier, you could spread it to someone who is immunocompromised or has multiple comorbidities like diabetes, heart disease, lung issues. So if you spread it to them, their immune system cannot handle this as well, and that is, going to add someone else to the hospital now. So that's why flattening the curve is so important, because our hospitals cannot keep up with, constantly people that are coming in for evaluation.
Right.
The other thing about it is with the flu season, which spans over many, many months, yes, there are many people who do need to get admitted to the hospital that do die and are in critical conditions with the flu, but that spans over many, many months. What we're seeing with COVID-19, is that the spread is so rapid, and that's why it's been overwhelming the medical systems like we've been seeing in Italy. And so we are just slightly behind that curve of where Italy is. And so that's the main concern right now, is that if so many people get affected at the same time, we just don't have the resources, and we just don't have the number of ICU beds and ventilators to support that many patients, that many people.
Right. So that it's just like the flu, I think. And I say I think because I don't fully know, but it was an easy way for them to kind of give you a quick idea of what it's like, because most people know what the flu is, but it by no way was an end all be all of everything they knew or know about COVID right now. It's like, well, it's exactly like the flu. That's all it is. Like, that was never what was said. They were just giving almost like a quick, like, well, you know what the flu's like? You're like, yeah, it's kind of like that. And everyone's like, oh, just the flu, and just left it like that.
Well, the other thing is there's no vaccine for this yet.
Right.
So
we have a vaccine.
Yeah. So, the amount of immunity any of us have to it is not there.
Right.
And what we know about it now is still, we're just learning so much more about it every day. When I first started kind of paying attention to what's going on here, it was thought, that it's mainly droplet spread. And now we're seeing that it is aerosolized, for up to 3 hours, from the most recent thing that I've seen. And we also thought that it stayed on surfaces just for a few hours, whereas now we're seeing it can stay on certain surfaces for much longer than that.
Yeah, so I believe stainless steel was up to 72 hours. 3 days. That's intense. That's...
The other point, Dr. Ajmani, is that you touched on it, that we don't know the complete route of transmission. I also was reading that it might also be fecal oral. So it's kind of through all avenues that there's potential for spread. So one thing that I think Dr. Sanjay Gupta had said is just assume you're a carrier and behave like that.
Right. Because we saw that during SARS, from what I understand, is that even, of course, it was a much more highly transmissible was the SARS epidemic, but that at that time there was a man who was infected. He was in his apartment building, used the restroom, and that alone, like going through the sewer system, brought it to other units in the building that people were getting sick. So, and I know that's different. I want to make sure you guys understand that was a very different thing. They know a lot more about it. But again, now they know a lot more about it. But that's like, you just don't fully know all the ways that it can happen yet. So like you were saying, Doctor, is that it's, you just need to assume that you have it and take those precautions, because we don't know. So just assume we're all infected and stay home.
With this, kind of don't panic, but also be practical and take appropriate steps and actions. There's so much that we don't know. But we also do know how serious it can be and how disastrous it can be, by looking at, what happened in China, what's happening in Italy. So it's like we need to almost have this respect for this, for this unknown.
Right.
Have this respect for this unknown, and move forward with that caution. And I've heard a number of infectious disease specialists, namely Dr. Fauci, as well as a few other physicians say, in a pandemic, if you are overreacting, you're probably doing the right thing. So again, overreacting in the sense of taking those cautions to maybe not go, to that restaurant or bar or to that beach on spring break, but also not panicking and purchasing all the supplies in the store that may be beneficial to other people as well.
Right. No, I think that was huge, guys. I hope you're hearing that. There's a huge difference between panic and, like you're saying, even overreacting is a little bit of okay. Like there's extra precaution, there's extra things there. You're like, okay, well, like I felt at the grocery store, maybe we're overreacting, maybe we're there, but I didn't go and grab 20,000 cases of like tomato sauce, but I usually would get 1 or 2, and I did get 6 that time. Like I got 6 cans, I have a family of 3. I was like, that'll be a couple meals. We're okay. The panic, like you were saying, is we just stop thinking straight. We start to just, you're just doing crazy stuff, panic, I know for myself, just even during a video, sometimes if like my video starts acting up and I'm like, oh, what's happening? And I kind of panic, like I'm like clicking the wrong button. Like I know what button it is, but for some reason when I'm panicking, I'm like, oh, which button was it? Like I know what button it is, but in the panic, you're literally not thinking straight. And the truth is if we're overreacting to how to keep ourselves safe, right? How to keep ourselves from, transmitting this to anyone else or getting it from anyone else, then those precautions are going to be like masks and hand washing. There's nothing about buying too much toilet paper that was saying this is what's going to keep you safe, right? So that's the panic part. Like there's no connection there at all. Like we're making choices that have nothing to do with what the main goal is, and the main goal is everyone staying healthy. And the one thing we do know is that the less people that have it, the more we're able to take care of this, whatever that means, whether it's giving space to the medical professionals to be able to treat people. But if we have too many people, that's where we come with the problem, right? So, okay. Well, so flu, guys, that was a great way to explain it. We're thankful to have some sort of idea that it might be like the flu, or similar to the flu, but I think the operative word there was similar, and that we don't know enough. So it's, and like you guys also brought up, the flu itself, even with all the research and vaccines and things we have, still kills people. And so we need to think about that and have the respect. That was the other thing I wanted to bring up. I love that you used that word, is that yes, we don't need to be scared of it to the point of panic, but there is a respect that we need to have for it, that it's not just, screw you, COVID, I'll do what I want. Like, no.
I think another point that I'd love to make is that, recently we've come to know that in China, a good proportion of the spread of COVID was from asymptomatic carriers and pre-symptomatic. So asymptomatic meaning that they are affected by COVID-19 but are not displaying any symptoms. Pre-symptomatic, they're affected but have not yet started showing symptoms. So you may think, I'm perfectly healthy. I don't even have a cough. I'm not sneezing, like nothing. Don't have a runny nose. I'm perfectly healthy. But that does not mean that you're not affected and cannot spread that to others.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think another point to make off of that, Dr. Ajmani, is that, time from exposure to actually showing symptoms can be around like 5 days, and then that you can be continuously shedding that for up to 14 days, which is why the quarantine is, if you've had recent travel, is 14 days. However, when I was reading a little bit more about that, that might actually still be too little of a time,
right?
Too short of a time for an actual quarantine. So don't go nuts, if you, just come back from, abroad, still act as if you're a carrier.
Yeah.
I just think that the time is actually probably longer than 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, there's a lot of stuff coming out. So again, let's just assume, like, is the worst case, we stayed home longer than we needed to, right? Like that's the worst case. If you don't respect that and you go out, the worst case there is a much is a much
It's more
bigger
dire.
problem.
Yeah.
It's a much bigger problem. So I'd rather err on that side of caution. Stay home. Like, you know, we always say we don't have enough time. Like, if I could stay home longer, here's your chance. Here's your chance, guys. And it could literally save lives. And you know, kind of assuming that idea of assuming that we're affected, it goes infected. It's the same for us, I guess. Like we've been living is. We've kind of just assumed everyone else is infected as well and trying to stay away from them. So I know for us over here in Europe, the spring breaks have been going on, and spring break over here is not a Florida thing. Spring break is skiing. And so people from all these different countries are coming all to the major ski areas. So we're seeing a big thing in Austria, obviously Italy, was a huge part of what was going on there too. In Northern Italy with the skiing. And so for us, a lot of my sons in preschool, kindergarten like classes, those were not canceled because they were leaving that to the individual schools to choose, and also enabling parents who needed to work to take their kids. And my son goes to an outdoor school. It's very small. So at the time they were like, well, you know, numbers above, you know, 20, numbers above 50, something like that. Well, his school is like 6 people in it. So we were like, well, you know, maybe, you know, we don't need to worry. They're fine. They're small. They're outside. But then we went, we don't know where all those kids had just gone skiing, you know, and how many other people were at these ski resorts and what's going on. So yes, there's only 6 people, but I almost think about this, you know, like the STD kind of stuff you learn, you know, maybe as a teenager, like you don't know how many people that person's been with. And it's really that idea, like you're right, there were only 6 people here, but you don't know all the level of contact that's been out there. Or now that we're learning that it's on surfaces, perhaps what public restroom door handle, you know, they didn't wash their hands from or whatnot. And it's just not worth it at this point, right? To take that risk. So this brings me to the next thing.
I was going to say that too. That analogy that you gave, I think, is actually a great. I heard
Yes,
that
it's a very good
the
one.
other day, and I think it's a great way to think about it. Actually, you know,
Yeah.
think about everyone who you're going to be interacting with in that way. That you're interacting with every single person that they've interacted with as well.
Yes. And the idea that you know somebody, like, means that they're okay. Like there must not be, well, it's okay, it's my grandma, or it's okay, it's my aunt. But like we have a problem here with the older people, because the older people are like, well, I'm just gonna go with Jenny and we're gonna walk down and see so and so. It's okay, we're not going that far. And we're like, it has nothing to do with how far you're going. It goes with you and Jenny and so like all getting together, you guys. Like that just becomes, and then they saw their grandkids, and again their grandkids were out skiing, and it just starts to multiply, you know. And so just because you know them doesn't make it safe, right? Like, I want you to be afraid of your relatives, you guys. I'm just saying, like, again, you don't know who they've seen, where they go, and the stores, you know, if they were you know, they were going to get toilet paper. We've all seen the pictures at Target or Walmart. There's like a ton of people there. So, and that keypad, ooh, the keypad. I don't know if they're doing anything about the keypads for their debit cards. Everyone's like sanitizing their hands, but they're touching those keypads and then like leaving. Whole other story.
Wash your phones, people. Wash your
phone.
Clean your phone.
Yes, that's huge. That's huge. If you're still going out, guys, like you really extra precautions. So that brings me to something that I think is a common thread through what we're talking about here. It almost feels like it doesn't need to be said, but it clearly needs to be said. We need to distance ourselves. The social distancing. And I know, Dr. Ajmani, you've had a lot you wanted to say about this, just kind of that reminder to people.
Yeah. Just that, you know, everything else that we talk about, all the other precautions that we go into, that actually we're planning to go into, giving, you know, some different wellness tips and tips to just kind of keep your immune system strong and healthy. All of that is under the assumption that you are social distancing, because we really want to emphasize that the most important thing you can do right now for yourself and for your community, and quite frankly for the world, is social distancing.
Yeah. Guys, it's time to just be on your own for a little bit. Just you and your family, or whatever that close circle is. Zoom is a wonderful thing. You guys, we are all in 3 different locations, the 3 of us here. I'm in a different country. We're able to connect. I know for myself, again, living in another country, if any of my girlfriends are watching this, we actually just started, before this whole pandemic happened, we started what I call a virtual girls night out / girls brunch, because it's nighttime for me, it's brunch time for them. And we had like 10 of us all on Zoom with our champagnes or whatnot. And we just gabbed. We just had like a
Mm-hmm.
girls' night out, but on Zoom. And it was great. No one had to leave their home. No one had to get babysitters. We got to catch up and really have a great time. And I know, at the age I am, I just turned 40 actually. At the age that I am, like, we make jokes that one of the things we tend to do is go, we should get together sometime. We should get together sometime. And then we're just going to keep saying that until someone dies because no one ever finds the time to get together. This is such an easy way to get together. Like, you don't have to dress up. You don't do anything. Just get on Zoom or Skype Facebook has their thing, and then chat, have some fun, get everyone together. And it's really easy to do. Like, no gas in your car, like nothing. You can all hang out.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because even if, granted, there's no time that would be a good time for us to be going through this at all.
Right.
But the fact is that right now we have so much technology here that we can stay connected that even 10, 15 years ago, we didn't. And so, yes, social distance, but that doesn't mean you have to cut yourself off completely from any sort of human connection. We have so many wonderful tools and technology here to stay connected and to actually see each other as well. So there's the phone in terms of like talking on the phone, but we also have so many modalities to actually see each other and interact.
And I think the other thing that's really beautiful to see is like the community is actually coming together, ironically, through social distancing. So, fitness studios, yoga studios, dance studios, they're all, trying to make the most of this and still, put their stuff online so that everyone can still have some sort of, sense of connection and community.
Yes. I've seen live yoga things happening. I have a friend, shout out to Melinda. She's a makeup artist. And so during this time, probably one of the worst things to do is to be right face to face doing someone's makeup. So I know there's a huge concern for people who are in these type of industries that there's obviously money, not having, weddings are being canceled, things are happening. So for her, that can be a really scary time. And so they started doing makeup tutorials, and not just the regular makeup tutorials that are on, we can see those on YouTube, but you can get individual ones. So they can be showing you for your specific face, your specific style, like what's good for you. Like, how awesome is that? Like, so you can learn some stuff, learn exactly like what's your best for your face. So people are getting really creative and finding ways to connect. And like Sheetal said, is that it's really something that is bringing people together in a whole different way, and we're getting creative. So have a girls' night out, guys, or chat with grandma and grandpa, get on these free services that allow us to connect. Like, it can be fun. Like, and honestly, bring, even after all this, when we're still allowed to see each other, and I'm going to call you guys out, a lot of us still don't see each other. We still get too busy, right? It's like, oh, I've just been so busy. So it's such a great way to cut through that excuse, because it's easier to jump in again on a 30-minute Zoom call than it is to like get ready and get reservations, or show up at the bar where you can't even hear your friends anyway. So use this. Well, so as we're transitioning here, guys, I think we've gone through a lot of kind of these myths, confirmed some of the things that are going on, at least what we know up to this point. Moving into a place of wellness for our bodies, for our spirit, for our mind, what are things that we can start doing?
My favorite thing, sleep.
Yes.
Because, people always, I think, skimp on that. And, one of the things that's the best thing for your immune system. So if you are, don't stay up late doing Netflix now that you have, a little bit more time on your hands. Do have watch Netflix, but still make sure you make sleep a priority, because it is honestly one of the best things for your immune system, so that you can fight off anything in case you catch something. And keeping your, some sort of regular schedule going, so that you don't feel so, out of whack, essentially. So for me, it's so great. Like, my yoga teachers put together, online Zoom thing, which is where I was just coming from, from my practice. And so, keeping some sort of regimen in place so that you still feel like you're in control, because as soon as your schedule gets out of control, that can also kind of elicit those feelings of panic.
Yes.
So, if you've never had some sort of practice, maybe right now is the time. You have time to kind of put something into place so that you're training your nervous system to stay in rest and digest mode.
I love that. Yes. The structure is important. There's a lot of science out there that talks. And again, I always go back to my toddler because that's a life I live. They always talk about toddlers needing routine and structure. And sometimes when your child's like acting out, they're like, well, do they have routine? And we think, well, that's the last thing kids want, but they say that's really what they need. Unfortunately, for some reason, we don't talk about it enough, but adults, we need it too. We actually function really great with structure. And Dr. Soorya, if you guys go back to an episode I have with Dr. Soorya about sleep, there is a huge part of like not just the routine that you've imposed, but a routine that our body is on while it's repairing and it's doing all these things with sleep that your body like actually really needs. So it's not just your mental like health that helps you a lot, but your body actually really needs some normal kind of sleep hours, some sort of routine and structure as well. So that is, I love that point. That is huge.
Yeah,
And,
exactly. And Tanya, like you said, with kids, when they don't get enough sleep, they're acting out. As a pediatrician, I often see kids coming in with concerns for things like ADHD or focus problems. And a lot of times, one of the first questions I ask is about their sleep. But for adults, we need that sleep. We need that structure too. It just shows up differently when we're not getting it. It can
kind of. I think we're similar. We're throwing tantrums. We're not paying attention.
We're short-tempered,
short-tempered, attitude.
irritable,
irritability, anxiety, even mild symptoms of depression can be related to not getting enough sleep. And you're absolutely right, Tanya, in terms of like having like our body mentally, emotionally, and physically does need that rhythm. And that's where that science of Ayurveda, which is like an over 5,000-year-old science that dates back to the time of yoga as well. So for thousands and thousands of years, Ayurveda has said that there is this particular rhythm and particular cycles to the day. Even, certain hours and times of the day have a particular rhythm, which is best for different activities. And so one of those is sleep, that Ayurveda recommends going to bed by 10, and that between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. is when your body is really restoring itself, and different organs in your body are metabolizing and detoxifying. And Western science is now showing that as well. So Dr. Soorya and I are both huge fans of the importance of sleep, and we've made lots of videos about it. But one thing that we have talked about in the past also is that it's not only how many hours of sleep you're getting, but also what time you're going to sleep. So one thing I've been doing lately, because I noticed, over the past week or so, where I'm just, really wanting to stay on top of everything with what's going on in the medical world regarding COVID. And I realized that I wasn't sleeping great. And so over the past week, I've been really firm with myself to turn off my phone by 9 p.m. so that I can make sure that I'm getting a good night's sleep. So that's another tip.
Airplane mode is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
And like we talked about earlier, stay informed, take this seriously. At the same time, make sure you're practicing your own self-care. So, check in with the news, every so often during the day, but I would recommend, setting some guidelines for yourself. Like, I'm not going to check the news the first hour that I'm awake, or I'm going to
go push that further. I have a big rule that we're actually practicing with our group this month, which is called None for 90. And that means the first 90 minutes of your day, no social media, no inbox, none of it, no work. That's your time. That's where you do your self-care. None for 90, guys. No,
if you can do that before bed too, that would be even better.
It's for both A and PM. So none for 90. But yes, sorry, you were saying like we need to.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, because the morning and the night, according to Ayurveda as well, are just such critical and pivotal times to really practice your self-care. And so I love that.
Yeah, none for 90. Like really be choosing when you're going to do it, and make it very like you said, you know, check a couple times. I would go further to say, like, set it, because I'm a big schedule regimen person, right? Like, set a real time. Like, I check it at 10, I check it at, you know, 1 p.m. if that's what you need, and like 5 p.m. Because the truth is, guys, like, and this is why social media I throw in there, because right now the social media is almost like a news feed with, I mean, it's called a news feed, but like literally it's all COVID. Like, let's be honest. I don't care what country you're in. This is a pandemic. It's around the world. It's everywhere. And it's all different kinds of emotions attached to it. There's legitimate stories. There's your aunt who might share crazy stuff. You're like, oh, why does she always find every rumor, you know, and it goes through and you have people's fears. And then I'm part of a lot of business groups. And so you get a lot of like positive things, but you have a lot of people and they're like, this is getting canceled. I'm freaking out. What do I do? Or I'm at home with my kids and I'm freaking out. So you're just like taking that in all day. Like, there's no benefit to that roller coaster. So, you know, to give yourself
just
some
know, yeah.
guidelines.
And I think something else to tell, like in a comfort way, is everyone is going through this.
Yes.
And
yes.
so, you know, it's not just you. And so everyone's in the same boat of, there's a lot of uncertainty. And so, you know, just acknowledging that and knowing it's hopefully a comfort that everyone's going through it together.
Yeah.
Right.
And with that brings me, that kind of makes me think of another really great wellness tip, which is if you are starting to feel really overwhelmed like that, reach out to someone, because not only are you reaching out because, okay, you're feeling overwhelmed so that you have someone to talk to, but you can also ask them how they are doing. And when you do that, like, you're opening up space for them as well. Maybe that person really needed to connect as well. And then you guys are connecting over this, and again, realizing how none of us are alone. And that's just such a great mental health piece of wellness as well.
Well, and sometimes those ideas, you can come with those ideas and solutions. You know, if you're just looking at the statement, like, I'm scared, and you're just watching that all day on the feed, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. But if you were to reach out to that friend who said, I'm scared, and you guys were like, well, what could we do? Like, there can be something great that comes from that, as opposed to just taking in the like, And so again, yes, it is. I'm glad you brought that up. It's good that we are sharing. It's good that we are bringing things out, but also giving yourself that limit to that. You know, that's not the only thing, because we all know it's easy to like, I'm just going to check. And then, you know, half an hour later, like, you're hopefully you made your way to cat videos, but you're probably still stuck in some other article craziness. And so absolutely limit that. I would, you know, limit how often you're checking it, limit how often you're, and where you're going to get it. I've heard some things it's great to maybe even check I think something similar what the New York Times does is they do a recap. Like, so if you actually sign up for their free newsletter, at the end of the day, you can get what the recap of kind of everything that went on that day. So you don't have to worry that you'll miss something. You know, the truth is something really crazy happens in your town. Like, your friend's going to text you, someone's going to get a hold of you. You're going to know, like, you're not going to miss out. So having something where you kind of get everything at once can be a helpful like tactic, as opposed to like trying to keep up, because there's going to be something every minute, and that's just going to drive you crazy. Like, there's so many.
And I think you make a good point also, is that don't since like social media, there can be a lot of misinformation going on, or even in the news. Don't base any of your medical concerns or things, if you're on medication, based on what you read. Reach out to your doctor. Do not make rash judgments on your own. Do not play doctor for yourself, because there is a lot of information out there that could be quite dangerous. Like, for example, like the ACE inhibitors, people, there might be concern that it might increase your symptoms with COVID. And ACE inhibitors help lower your blood pressure. So if you abruptly stop them, that could increase your risk for stroke or heart attack. So be very judicious about where you're getting your information from. Do not make any medical decisions on your own. Always
call your doctor. And big emphasis on call, guys. Like, don't go over there, but call. Yeah, absolutely. I love that you brought that up, because we are seeing lots of rumors, lots of things. I mean, it was kind of laughable that we saw France had to actually make a statement that says cocaine does not help with COVID. Like, that was a real statement that that had to be made by the government in France, guys, because people heard it somewhere and went with it. Same thing we're seeing with bleach, things like that. So it's really, really important that if something piques your interest, call your doctor first before you go and play doctor, because there can be some really, difficult side effects with those, choices. So absolutely glad that you brought that up. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about getting where to get your news, not where, but, being choiceful about where you choose to get your news, how often you're getting it, how often you're really kind of indulging in that situation right now for your own mental health, the stress that it can cause. We've also kind of talked about sleep, which is really important. When you get it, how you get it, those types of cycles, the benefits that we have, which I think we could have a whole hours about that. That's another thing we can talk about, which I think all three of us, I'm a believer. Like Dr. Soorya freaked me out, guys. So I'm like a huge believer.
Sorry.
So, no, it was the best freak out ever. I
Okay,
now
good,
have,
good.
amazing sleep. Sometimes we need to be scared, and that's okay. So
that makes me happy.
She won. She got me. It's amazing. So with sleep is important. Having some structure in our day is important. So what are some other things? I know, let's talk a little bit about eating. Let's talk a little bit about some movement, and probably on some mental health. I think obviously the news is a big part of that mental health, but let's cover just a little bit of those aspects before we take off.
Sure. I would say don't stop moving. So even though you can't go to your fitness studio or anything, there's tons of resources online. If you do go to a fitness studio, chances are they probably moved their workouts online or giving you good home workouts. The other thing with food, movement also helps your immunity. So if you're just stagnant, your blood is not moving, you're not circulating, you're not clearing out guck, if you will. So keep that going. And then your food, stock up on stuff that's going to really help your immune system. So people are going to all the junk food, but the thing is, that's really not going to help your immune system one bit. It's actually going to depress it. So really, fresh color, like eat the rainbow, that's the stuff that's really going to help, neutralize any radicals in your body, help your immune system.
We're seeing the pasta oils get depleted, and yet that turns into sugar, guys. Maybe you're not stocking up on Snickers, but that overabundance of not the fresh food, not the variety, the things like that. There's downsides there too. And then we're not moving, we're inside. This is a whole other problem that we can bring ourselves, if we're not really mindful about the choices we're making.
Yeah, remember, your immune system lies in a good chunk of it lies in your gut. So taking care of your gut and feeding it correctly and keeping the microbiome happy is one way of keeping your immunity up during this time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So things like onion, garlic, leek, all that stuff can really, really help keep the immune system up.
All right.
Yeah, I agree completely with everything Dr. Soorya said. I just want to kind of add, in addition to all of those physical benefits and benefits to your immune system with movement and eating well and eating the rainbow, I just kind of wanted to touch upon a little bit of the mental health benefits of all of that too. So obviously movement, when you do any sort of exercise and get your body moving, that releases endorphins that just naturally makes you feel good. And then also eating all the colors of a rainbow. So there's been studies on plant-based diet. I'm not saying you have to go completely plant-based, but the more vegetables, fruits that you eat, there have been some studies that show that does help with mild symptoms of anxiety and depression as well. So these tips benefit on all levels.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just your food, isn't just your gut. It's not just your weight. It's not like Dr. Soorya said it, or sorry. Yeah, Dr. Soorya said it. I'm so used to you guys' first names, last names. I keep mixing up. I'm like, I don't know what to call them. So for the doctor,
whatever comes out is fine.
Whatever comes out. Dr. Artie, Dr. Soorya. Is that, you have the microbiome, you have the immune system, but over here, what Dr. Ajmani is saying is it actually helps with your mental health. That it connects. We are a whole person, guys, which is
your gut and your brain are connected.
Yes, we are a whole person, and all of these things are connected, which is specifically why I was so excited to bring these two amazing women, because this is it's not one or the other. And this whole thing affects not only obviously our communities, our people's bodies if they get it, but there's the mental health. There's a whole person here that it comes to. And so being mindful to like address all of those areas in our areas of health, because the immune system is what keeps us healthy, guys. It's what keeps us as strong as possible. Our mental health keeps us from panicking, keeps us from depression, from these things, if we can keep all of these areas sharp. So it really is about, it's about all of that. So as we're moving into this, if you guys have any more to throw in there, I would love to kind of get any other tips that we have. And then, as we mentioned in the beginning, want to give you guys something to decompress, kind of relax and calm yourself now. And ideally, come back and use this technique over and over as you find yourself responsibly at home. So do you guys have anything else you want to add before we move into that segment?
Yeah, I guess I wanted to add just one thing that I was reading that I found interesting is that, and again, this is not, there's not been any clinical studies on this as well, but it's looking at kind of the pathophysiology of the virus and how it works in the body, as well as the pathophysiology of some of these herbal supplements, because I know a lot of people use things like elderberry and echinacea to prevent colds and flus and things like that. But looking at kind of the pathophysiology of how this virus works, those may be okay to use as a preventative, but if you start showing any sort of symptoms that can actually lead to the progression of this virus, meaning it can make this virus, it can increase the inflammation in your body and make this virus progress quicker and more severely. Again, there hasn't been any clinical studies on this, but looking at the pathophysiology of how these things work, that is kind of what we're seeing. And I'm seeing a lot of my colleagues in the medical community make that recommendation as well, to avoid the elderberry and echinacea with this. Whereas vitamin C can be helpful. So,
and vitamin D.
Have your citrus.
Yes, yes. And vitamin D, guys,
that helps with the
all inside, right? As we're inside so much. So whether that's sitting by the window as much as you can, or getting it through your diet, or as a supplement, I know they sell a vitamin D supplement. Yeah, that's huge. So vitamin C, vitamin D, be mindful of the echinacea and elderberry. Just mindful again. Oh my, okay. Sure you guys are still there. My camera went crazy for a second. Everyone still see everything? Okay. Good. So yeah, great. That's so fantastic. Thank you for mentioning that. Guys, so we hope this has been helpful. That was the point of this, was to come and just, bring brilliant, amazing people together and just, hopefully offer some calmness, some truth in the midst of this chaos. At least that feels like chaos at times. And I think that's okay to acknowledge that it does feel absolutely crazy sometimes, but that there is, we do have power. And this is one of my favorite things that I think I learned through my life and through my experiences that I've had, is that there's a lot of areas in my life that none of us have control over, but we have power. And we have power to make choices. We have power to do things that can help us feel better. So no, you may not be able to control the world or what's going on right now, but we do have very powerful choices that we can make to build ourselves up, to build each other up, to be there for each other. So just remember that, like, we may not have control, but you're not powerless. We do have power. So as we move into that power, I think Dr. Ajmani, would you like to go ahead and lead us in a meditation?
Sure. So go ahead and find a comfortable seat. So whatever that means to you. And if you're sitting in a chair, just plant your feet on the ground. So really feel the soles of your feet on the ground, and just put your hands on your lap or on your knees. And then you can either close your eyes if you feel comfortable with that, or just kind of gaze softly at a spot on the floor. Okay. And first, just kind of notice how your feet feel on the floor. So I always like to kind of start with just feeling the ground beneath me. So really noticing the earth, the stability, the solidity of the earth beneath you. That's always there. So that's something that is always there for you. Every step you take, the earth is there to catch your step. So just allow yourself to really feel that from the soles of your feet. Feeling that gentle pressure coming up from the floor onto the soles of your feet, and feeling that energy go down from your feet into the floor. Just allowing yourself to feel grounded, settling into this moment here. And then just slowly begin to bring that awareness up your body. So up to your ankles, your lower legs, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your abdominal region, chest region, your back. Your shoulders, your arms, your neck, the muscles of your face and scalp. And maybe just taking a moment here just to notice how that feels. Sometimes simply bringing awareness to different parts of your body can allow those parts of your body to just naturally soften a bit, to naturally relax. So just take a moment here to noticing how you feel in your body right now. And as you notice that, you may notice that there's parts of your body that are holding on to some tension. If you're scrunching your shoulders up to your ears, or maybe noticing that your jaw is clenched tight, and if so, just silently begin to suggest to yourself that those areas of your body are beginning to soften. Using the power of your thoughts to suggest that those parts of your body are relaxed. And then begin to bring your awareness to your breath. The breath is one of the most powerful tools that you have. It's always there with you, coming and going, giving and receiving, expanding and contracting. It's constantly flowing. So simply follow the flow of your breath, noticing your inhale and your exhale. Noticing that just as the breath flows, so too can we flow through life. It doesn't hold on. It knows that it needs to let go in order for the inhale to come. By nature, it's coming and going, giving and receiving, expanding and contracting. And then we'll add in one breathing exercise. So for now, we've been watching our breath flow naturally. Now we're going to do an exercise where we extend our exhale so that your exhale is just a little bit longer than your inhale. What that does is your inhale is related to your sympathetic nervous system, that fight or flight. Your exhale is related to that parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. And so when you intentionally extend your exhale slightly longer than your inhale, you gently nudge your body into that parasympathetic response. You get out of that fight or flight mode and into the present moment. So I'll use a ratio of 2 to 4, 2 on the inhale, 4 on the exhale. But please use any ratio that works for you, as long as your exhale is longer than your inhale. And I give that advice just because I don't want you to strain your breath in any way. So finding a ratio that's comfortable for you. At the end of your next exhale, we'll inhale for 2, exhale, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, exhale, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Do that on your own for another few breaths. Finding a ratio that's comfortable for you. Again, being mindful that you're not straining your breath. And finding a ratio that's comfortable where you can extend your exhale longer than your inhale. And then at the end of your next exhale, go ahead and release that breathing pattern and just allow your breath to return to normal, just allowing it to flow easily. And just take a moment here, just noticing how you feel in this moment. Noticing if you feel any different now than when we first started. Just observing. Knowing that you can come back to this practice at any time. That your breath is a tool that's always with you. And gently beginning to bring your awareness back to your body, just noticing the sensation of your hands on your lap, noticing the sensation of your feet on the floor once again. And whenever you feel ready, gently fluttering open your eyes.
Super nice. I love that. You guys, it was so
Zen for the
simple.
day.
Yeah, you're zen for the day. It was quick, but I don't know about anyone else. I know I felt relatively calm. I think I already sound like, I've had 2
You
glasses
do.
of wine
You do
now.
I
sound
can
like
hear it in your voice.
I hear it in my voice. But when you said your thoughts to tell yourself to relax, I didn't feel any clenching when you were saying noticing, but when I told myself to relax, it was like my body was like, oh good, we can do that now. And it was just like I felt it all. It was so awesome.
Sometimes we have to just give ourselves permission, right? Permission to
Yeah.
relax.
I love that. You guys, it was so simple. Listen to that. I think what we'll do, Dr. Ajmani, is we'll get that audio and you can share it with your audience, and we can share that, with you guys as well, so you can use that. You don't have to listen to our whole segment all the time, but you can do that again, because that's such a powerful tool. And I love that you said your breath is a tool that's always with you. Like that's so simple and true. So you guys, before we head out, you want to connect with these amazing women. They are on social media. They are always giving great tips, fun stuff. I know, Dr. Ajmani, you do a lot of meditation, especially lately. You've been showing up a lot for people. So you have this one that we just did, but she's showing up all the time, guys. I know Dr. Soorya is always giving great information and making you go to sleep. So in a good way, not because she's boring, because she is like the party woman of sleeping. So can Dr. Soorya, can you tell everyone where they can find you?
Sure. I'm Dr. A. Soorya on both Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. Okay. And we'll put those details there. And then Dr. Ajmani.
Sure. So I have a website, sheethalajmani.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook at sheethalajmanimd.
Beautiful. All right, ladies. Thank you so much for being here and showing
Thanks for
up.
having us.
And contributing. Absolutely. Have a wonderful day, you guys, and come back often for more, tips about living your best life, and just, living it to the fullest. All right. I'll see you next time.
See you soon. Bye.
Tanya.
Thanks for joining us. You can catch us every week at 1 p.m. EST live on the My Design Life Show Facebook page and on YouTube at the Tanya MFK channel. See how the challenges go by following us on Facebook and Instagram at My Design Life Show and at Tanya MFK. Do you have a method, tip, or hack you'd like to share or explore? Submit to be a guest or suggest a topic by visiting mydesignlife.show.